I think investors have taken a very pessimistic view on the oil markets in the last several days. And even when OPEC delivered on their cuts, we saw weakness in the oil market. And it's very interesting that, typically you'd expect that when you have this type of dislocation, you'd see oil rally on the expectation that there might be some disruption in supplies. And now investors are taking this as a negative sign and worrying if OPEC can actually deliver on those price caps. So it's very indicative of the bearish sentiment that's taken hold of the crude markets.
How negative do you think the situation with the Arab states is? I mean, we heard Halima there saying this is nothing new. Well, I guess it's not. I mean, there has been unrest in the region for some time. However, this is a step further into negative territory, is it not?
It potentially is, but honestly, I think there's another issue here. And rather than focus on Qatar, really, what's driving the pessimism in oil markets is the fact that you now have a swing producer from U.S. shale producers in the United States. And when you look at how much shale production is ramped up over the past year, you see U.S. domestic production now back over 9.3 million barrels a day. That production tends to be very nimble. And the cost of that production has been going down and down and down. Basins in the U.S. like the Permian Basin in West Texas, very cheap to produce. I think the fear from oil investors, which is not irrational, is that you can continue to see the U.S. ramp up production even if OPEC sticks to their production caps.
Ross, what do you think happens to the LNG market here? I mean, we know that Qatar is the world's biggest supplier of LNG to the market. With supply chains potentially being impacted or likely to be impacted based on this new spat, if you want to call it that, I mean, is this a risk to the LNG market?
Well, here I think that there is cause for, if not concern, at least being aware of the situation, because as you point out, a very large exporter of LNG to the world. But here again, the dynamics of this market are changing. We're now seeing a growing LNG presence in the U.S. We've seen a significant increase in gas production. And the thing that has also changed in the U.S., which will affect this market, is the fact that we're likely to see more LNG terminals, creating more exports from the U.S. to the rest of the world. Now, that won't help in the short term, which is why I think traders do need to be aware of the situation and whether or not it does affect supply.